I'd like to invite up on the stage two people I have the greatest of respect for. One is Jonathan Emord. You all know him as one of our great attorneys. Come on up here, Jonathan. A great fellow when it comes to our rights as individuals and our rights as a company and the rights of everybody in America when it comes to the Constitution. We love him for that. And then we also are blessed, kind of a surprise visit from Martin Luther King III. Martin Luther King III. Martin, why don't you come on up here? A great civil rights leader who started out when he was a child with his dad. Everybody give him a big hoo-ah. And we're so blessed to have these two gentlemen with us and moving in sync with the great mission we have. This is, as we said earlier today, a human mission. Everybody, regardless of religion, race, creed, everybody in the world has the same challenges when it comes to health. But what I want to do is ask Jonathan to give us 5 minutes or so, and then we'll ask Martin to do that. This, I'm sure, is a surprise for him, but he does it so often. It won't be a big shock to him. So, Jonathan, if you'd start out, appreciate it. Give him a hand.
It's an honor to be on this stage with Martin Luther King III. It was an honor earlier this year to be privileged to be at Coretta Scott King's funeral, although a sorrowful moment in the history of this country, an opportunity for us all to reflect upon the history of liberty that you all know we've fought so hard to preserve and protect and defend against forces that would take it from us. And around the time of the founding of the Republic and shortly thereafter, the legacy of liberty that was given to us was not extended to all Americans. And each of us has learned over time to experience the harm that comes to people, to us particularly now with the loss of freedom associated with an absence of protection for our right to communicate truthful nutrient disease information. But Frederick Douglass first cried for the extension of liberty to people regardless of race. And then Martin Luther King in our generation called for that extension of liberty to all people, regardless of race, regardless of color, creed. And then Coretta Scott King sought to carry on that tradition and did so magnificently, stoically, and brilliantly. And then here we are today with the same struggle, the same burden to extend liberty to all people. And in your case, you have an opportunity to feel that personally because you have a government that is taking from you the right to communicate information that could save lives. Truthful nutrient disease information. We have a government that is protecting pharmaceutical companies from competition to the extent that it's willing to sacrifice the rights of all Americans to receive information that could save their lives. When we think about this evening, we think about the progress of this company, we should bear in mind in the short history the great contribution that this company has made to the advancement of liberty. That Dr. Wallach, Steve Wallach, and this company that you can be very proud of has fought very hard to extend liberty by knocking down these barriers, by preventing a monopoly from denying all of us our right to freedom of speech. And it's great to be a part of this because this is the great ocean of history. This is the great movement of liberty. We can all be a part of it. We can feel those stirring things in our heart that tell us why we are free, why we yearn to be free, and why we have a right, an inalienable right to be free. So, for me, it's a special honor to be here and to be on the same stage with Martin Luther King III and with Dr. Wallach. And I appreciate the opportunity to do that. Thank you very much.
One of these days I'll have the command of words that Jonathan does. And I didn't know Martin's father. I was just a very young man at the time that we lost him to history. But I did know his mother, Coretta Scott King. I was very blessed to be a visitor in her home and get to speak with her. She was very kind to give me a book of Martin's father, his autobiography, and made a nice little message in there. And she was a great teacher. For the couple of hours I spent with her, she was a great teacher, and she instilled in me some things which I'm sure she instilled in even a greater depth into her children, including Martin. So let's give Martin a great, great round of applause. Give him a standing ovation.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me first thank God for allowing all of us to be here this evening. To Dr. Joe Wallach and Steve Wallach and the entire administrative team at now YGYOntario for, I guess I have known Dr. Wallach for a number of years, and he is certainly, we all know, an individual who, not single-handedly, but the energy that he exhibits as he travels around this nation and world, promoting a concept of true health, optimum health, is just absolutely phenomenal. And so I thank him and each of you that are every day making a difference in the lives of so many. I think I met Dr. Wallach along with Phil Oliver, and Phil Oliver has brought a number of us into this company. And I hope in some small way, as I travel around our nation and our world, that I can be a part of helping to first become a picture of optimum health, because I think you have to exhibit and exemplify what you promote, but also to be able to share the same kind of information that so many in our nation and world need. As Jonathan E. Moore stated, when we look at the freedoms that we once had, and certainly my family, my father, my mother, have always tried to create a scenario of freedom for all. And when we look at the freedom to choose, it would just seem that by now we would have an opportunity to choose whether we wanted to use traditional methodology or holistic or any other methodology that we in America, who proclaim to be a democracy, we should have the right to choose that. And I'm not sure that we've yet arrived at that level, but I do believe that through YGYOntario and other entities like it, that we are closer to where we need to be in creating the kind of climate that certainly if one feels well, then you sort of act a little different, because we know that behavior can be attributed to what you eat. Because if you eat the wrong kind of things, there are studies that show that violence is increased by the kind of things that we consume. So to create the kind of world that my father and now my mother envisioned, it is important that we work so diligently to continue to take this message of longevity throughout our nation and our world, and I'm committed to work in that capacity. And finally, I always close with words of my father's, because when you're going through even the building process, sometimes it's difficult. There are those who will shun you or push you away. But we have to sort of keep forward fostering what we believe in, because it is true that the ultimate measure of a human being is not where one stands in times of comfort and convenience, but where one stands, as my father said, in times of challenge and controversy. He went on to say that on some questions, cowardice asks the question, is a position safe? Expediency asks the question, is a position politic? Vanity asks the question, is a position popular? But that something deep inside called conscience asks the question, is a position right? He went on to say that sometimes we must take positions that are neither safe nor popular nor politic, but we must take those positions because our consciences tell us they're right. And so I know that what Longevity and the Longevity family is doing, you are doing because your consciences are telling you it's right. And guess what? We're changing this nation and ultimately will change the world. Thank you and God bless you.
Jonathan Emord and Martin King III are a hard act to follow, but I just want to make a couple of brief comments before they chase me off the stage here. And that is, through Phil Oliver and Mike Glenn, we've been able to reach a community that's been yearning, really yearning for help for health. There's been this big lie, and you all have heard the tape or the CD, the Black Gene Lies. There's been this big lie that because these individuals are black, that they have a gene that makes them have high blood pressure and diabetes and heart disease and cancer that's related to their race. And I'm telling you, it's an absolute lie. If everybody in the black community were to utilize a simple supplemental program, we could eliminate high blood pressure and diabetes type 2 and arthritis and osteoporosis and cardiovascular disease in 90 days, just 90 days. If you haven't listened to that CD, The Black Gene Lies, I urge you to listen to that. And now we've given Martin and Mike and Mike Glenn and Phil Oliver and Theo and Gene and everybody else who's part of Longevity, but also part of the black community. And the interest, of course, is growing because the medical system has failed everyone terribly, but especially reading the history of the healthcare system in America as related to the black community. I was urged to do that, and when I ran into Dr. Jennifer Daniels and her wonderful kind of assessment of the current medical system and how it relates to the black community, and in a little bit of the history, you know, her CD, The Slave Quarter Cures. And this is all coming out. There's a new book coming out. Hopefully it'll be done by July. Because through these great people, I'm going to be able to speak to the annual meeting in July, to the annual meeting of the Urban League, one of the great civil rights groups. So I'll be speaking to the annual meeting of the Urban League in July, and I hope many of you will show up for support. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, please, a round of applause once again for Martin Luther King III, Dr. Joe Wallach, Jonathan Emord. Well, you're not kidding. That's a tough act to follow.
Thank you for listening to this presentation. And remember to contact the person that sent this to you. For more presentations and books that go into greater detail, go to docwallachmedia.com. And be well.
Hey all you Dr. Wallach supporters and Longevity fans out there. Most of you at some point will have come up against this Nutri-Smart bashing of Dr. Wallach. There are a few articles that are published specifically to tarnish Dr. Wallach and his message. And I have actually written this whole book. This was a few years ago. I wrote a full-length book in rebuttal to these vicious attacks on Dr. Wallach. I believe every objection that you are going to encounter in the field is addressed in this book. It's absolutely a great resource for you to have as a distributor. And if you do ever have anybody coming up to you saying, I heard what you said about Dr. Wallach and I was going to look into some of his vitamins, but I came up against this article on the internet, Nutri-Smart article is probably the one they read. So it's a great deal, guys. I put it up very cheap. It's just another tool in our toolbox. And the Amazon link is in the description of this video. Make sure to check out our food YouTube channel called Notus Foods. This is 100% Dr. Wallach approved. And the chef that is preparing the food here and teaching you how to follow Dr. Wallach's food guidelines and Dr. Glidden's food guidelines. He's an industry professional, over 22 years experience and a college diploma to back it up. And we do have experienced cooks and bakers as well, working on content for the YouTube channel Notus Foods and the Instagram channel Notus Foods. It's 100% gluten-free, oil-free, all the stuff about burning fats and all of the rules that you would need to know or follow. We're here to teach it to you here, as well as give you tons of ideas for recipes, individual dishes, and meals. Of course, in the near future, we do have a cookbook coming out. Stay tuned for it. And if you'd like to talk to us directly, you can call us. Actually, you can call Judy. She's downriver Detroit. You can call from anywhere in the US, Canada, Mexico, UK, Australia, New Zealand, any other country. You want to email us or send us a DM on whatever app that you want to contact us on. Instagram is super convenient for us. And that's for any sales or product information in those countries, or any distributor information,